It is go time for Monster Monday. Sit back and get ready to enjoy a live show. Comment any questions, see what's up in our world of epic, and hear what we have in store. Welcome to Monster Monday. Yay!
Yay!
Hey everybody, welcome to Monster Monday. I am in a garage in Alaska at an Airbnb we're at. I came down here so it'd be quiet, and so I pardon my backdrop and everything else, but it is what it is. So I'm in Alaska, and it looks like you're comfy at home,
I am.
chilling in front of the fireplace. Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good here. Yeah. This weekend
Yeah,
I did some yard work and rode motorcycle. So
that's
pretty
awesome.
uneventful, but fun. Yep.
I finally got back on my motorcycle today. Was the first time I guess I rode it into town once, but my hands were so sore I couldn't make a fist. It's taken them days to get back to normal. So
Yeah.
uh, it felt good to ride. Yesterday we came down to Anchorage from Homer, or up to Anchorage from Homer, and it was like 4.5 hours, and it was a beautiful ride. Because when I came through during the Hokahea was it was at night and it was dark, and I didn't realize how cool the view was. So that was pretty awesome. But it's good to be done with that. Good to be out now. I'm just chilling with the family, and
Nice.
uh, some of the kids go home today, and Taylor goes home tomorrow. So after tomorrow morning, it'll be just Amy and I, and we're gonna hang out here till the weekend, and then I'm gonna decide about some more riding. So that's my plan. You got any big plans?
This coming weekend, what do we have for plans? I'm trying to um
The summer
drive-in
clock is
movie
ticking
this
down.
week. I'm asking Dylan. I'm like, I can't remember. We have he's got me. We're going to Long Prairie Drive-In classic car night. So get to drag my
Awesome.
truck out. We've been riding motorcycle and doing all this crap. I haven't seen my truck in over a month. So I yeah. It's in
It's time.
storage and it's time. Yep. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
car
time.
show coming up. So
Well, I'll just hit on the Hoka so we can get done with
yep.
that and get on to the boys and the good stuff, because we got done. I got done on the 13th
Yeah.
at 8:13 in the morning. So that was pretty awesome. Everybody is pretty aware of my run. I had a good run. I had a
Yeah.
good run, and had a lot of fun. It was a great ride, a great route from Florida up to Homer, Alaska. It was a mimic of the original Hokahay. So I thought that part was awesome. We started in a tropical storm, which developed into a hurricane. We rode through a hurricane and made it out the other side. So that was crazy. So the handful of riders who pounded through that hurricane really had an advantage, because we were out of the storm and hauling ass across the country before a lot of people even came close to being out of the storm. So that part was that part was I was really happy that I was out in front, at least in the top 10 riders getting through that. So that part was pretty epic. We made it out, made it to the checkpoint in Arkansas, and then worked our way over to New Mexico and Arizona, and then up into Wyoming, where we saw Value. She was there. She put cards out for all the monster riders. That was pretty cool. It was one of the highlights of my entire ride. And then cranked it up to through the. We went through the rally. We hit part of Sturgis during the rally, so that was kind of crazy.
Yep.
But we didn't really go into downtown Sturgis. Went through Deadwood. That was about the closest. And I made a mistake in Deadwood on a turn, which made me laugh because I've been there for 30 years at least,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of caught up in the moment of being like at the rally, and I went the way I would always go to Sturgis,
You
like.
were rallying.
Yeah, I was like, I'm on rally mode, so I'm ready to stop for a beer. And I turn and I go to Sturgis, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing, man? Like, I know the way to the canyon from here. So that part made me laugh. And so I went up and I made a U-turn stop and got gas, and I chuckled at myself. But I'm getting gas in Deadwood. There's a million people at the gas station right before town. And,
Yeah.
there's a million people, and I'm not geared for the rally. I'm like loaded down. So it was pretty funny.
I
But
bet.
yeah, then we turned and burned out of there and made it to Montana, and I checked in there quick, and then up through Canada, and that was my first time riding through Canada. all the way up and through the Alcan Highway. So, it's just a different animal up there. I was not the smoothest on the directions this year, riding. So I made some costly mistakes with some errors I had, and road went right and right went left, and at the speeds I ride, you make a mistake, you really pay for it, because now you're doing 90 miles an hour, and now I'm, you know, far, far away in the 20 minutes it took me to figure it out. So, I had a few of those mistakes, but I laughed those off, because to me, that's part of the Hoka. I don't use a GPS, but the new bikes don't even have a GPS on them. So it's not like after 14 where they're all in the dash. You don't have them on the new ones now. So I don't have a GPS, and I don't use a phone. So I just use paper maps and I follow their directions. And it cost me a couple times. They had one mistake on the thing. Sorry, kids walk. I come down here below and kids come in the garage, but um, they had one mistake on the map, and that cost me 4 hours and 150 miles, and some time. And then promptly the next morning I make another mistake, and you're in the Yukon, so if you make a mistake, you really, really pay big. And I made a mistake in the Yukon, and I went towards Haines instead of towards the mainland Alaska. And I just stopped at a store, and in my head, I was tired. I didn't think there was a turn. I'm not that familiar with it, but the Alcan Highway runs right in. I thought there is no there. I wasn't even watching for a turn because I wasn't thinking there was one. And I was stopped at a gas station. I was messing with my tank bag. I'm putting the food in, my head down, glancing up to make sure I'm not running into a car, but I'm not paying attention to the roads. Go right through the intersection where I was supposed to turn right, and I follow it. Now I'm 100. I was probably about 75 miles into it, maybe more, and I realized I made a mistake. And I asked the lady, and she says, "No, this is the road to wherever." But she wasn't sure what I was talking about, so I wasn't 100% sure I was way off. But now I knew I had to get gas, so I wasn't sure I could make it back. So that I'm gonna go forward until I come to gas, and then I'll figure this out. Well, I go forward, I come to a customs. So I come to a customs, and I'm like, well, now I know I'm in the wrong place. I'm leaving the country. So I know something's wrong. And I get to a customs back to the States, and he asked if I was going to Haynes, and I laughed and I said, no, I'm going to Homer. And he says to me, no, no, you're not. So I told him I needed to go back, and he said, well, it's 119 miles from where we were sitting to the next gas station if I went back. I said, well, I'm going to have to get gas in town here. And there was no gas in that little town. It opened at 11:30 in the morning, and this was 7 in the morning. So I just laughed and I said, well, I already killed myself here. I'm gonna have to go back. So I went back and I did 40 miles an hour, 40 to 50 miles an hour. And every time downhill, I just pulled my clutch and let it roll downhill and milked it back, because that's the longest I've ever went on a tank of gas. I went on 240 miles on a tank of gas, and I was running out as I pulled into it. It was chugging pretty good. Um, but made those mistakes. But that's the price you pay in the Hoka for, if you're not going to use a GPS, and you're gonna do it old school, then those are the mistakes that happen. And not everybody plays that game. And there's so many people nowadays that just use a GPS and just follow that, and they follow their phones and they navigate, they look and see how many miles they have left in a tank of gas and how many miles it takes to whatever gas station. They know, should I stop at this one or the next one? Well, a bunch of old school guys like me, we don't do that. We get gas when we guesstimate we need it, or you risk it and try to go. And, so to each their own. The Hoka is not designed, you're not supposed to be using a GPS. You're not supposed to use your phone. And some people, winning and glory of finishing high is the only thing of value to them. So, it's just, say teach their own. And I can't speak for anybody else but myself. And I just did it my way. And I made plenty of mistakes, and I was so overtired. And there was one day I was straight hallucinating so bad. It was like being on drugs galore. It was just out of my mind. I was seeing things that weren't there. The trees were alive, and I've been through it before. So I was telling myself, I just got to get to this town so I can sleep. I can't sleep out here. There's nowhere to sleep. It was some light rain. It's just mud, and there's no pull offs or anything. So I said, I got to get to the town. and I'm riding along and I'm talking to somebody, and they're telling me, they're going to get off. They're going to get off up here at the next stop, and as I'm talking to them, they just jump off my motorcycle, and I'm like, it looks so real, and it seems so like they were sitting alongside me, and they just slide, and I was like, man, that's not possible. That's not possible. And I'm telling myself that's just your brain being train wrecked. You have to ignore things you see, but then everything you see, then you question when you get like that. Is that real? Is that real? Is that not real? I stopped at a stop sign and there were cars that had to go across. So I waited for the cars to go across, and there was no cars to go across. So I was like, I wasn't sure if there was cars there ever, or if I let them go by. I'm just, clearly not in a state you should be riding a motorcycle. So I was very happy to get to the town, but I got to town and pulled into a boat landing and threw my stuff down and got 3 hours of sleep and woke up on tilt, and I was still out of it. And then I knew I had to pull over. I got a message from Wild Ass Craig, to take it easy and not do anything stupid, like get disqualified for doing over 100. And I was not in the right state of mind, and I was riding not even remotely what you should be doing. And I was pushing 100 miles an hour, and a guy was standing on the side of the road, and he was waving his arms. He's for a walk, and there was a herd of elk in front of me. And I went right through the herd of elk at 100 miles an hour. And all I remember is laughing. As I went through the herd of elk, I was laughing in my helmet, because in my mind, I just looked at that herd of elk and I said, I got plenty of room to fit. So I didn't even let off on the brakes, nothing. I just 98 miles an hour right through the herd. And I thought, after I went through them, I said, man, that's just absolutely insane. I can't do that. So then I had to chill. I had to chill and let that go. And then the next herd, I hit the brakes, but I was still a little bit not quite myself. I hit the brakes a little bit, but I saw a slot to get through the elk, and I just gave the gas, went through a herd of 40 again. And that's about the time Craig sent me a text. So then I read that text, and I thought, all right, I just got to chill out. I got to relax. I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get, a speeding ticket. And to be honest, I didn't give a shit about the speeding ticket. Like, kick me out, do whatever. I was angry riding at that point. I was mixed up. I thought that I'd been passed. I thought that I had been passed by 13 people because the trackers were wrong. So when you pulled up the tracker, it looked like I was 13 people deep. But the problem was it hadn't updated. It just put me where everybody lost their tracker. So, but in my mind, I didn't know that. So I was just angry riding. I wasn't in the right state of mind, and it took me a while to get out of that. So I lost some hours making wrong turns and rage riding and making mistakes. So that cost me as much as the Hokahays mistake on the turn. So I don't blame them for the mistake that cost me. I'm just a firm believer that things are meant to be, like it's you know it's things are meant to be. And you know maybe I could have won it if I would have done something different. If they wouldn't have had a mistake, if I wouldn't have been in first, let somebody else find that stuff out. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't, winning that is not the end game for me. I don't really, it's never been a big highlight. I love the whole Kahay. I love what it's about. They make me a little angry how they do some things, but for the average Joe to go out and try something like that, it's mad, crazy impressive. So I got a lot of respect for anybody willing to sign up for it and to do it. I think they're just, they're doing their best to try to, you know, push out people like myself and the riders, like that caliber of rider that give it your all 100% of the time. The world doesn't like people like us anymore. So they are definitely twisting it. And they changed the rules this year, and they have the directions available at certain times. It used to be when you got to a checkpoint, you got handed the directions. Now they're waiting and handing out directions at a certain time. So they want you to pace yourself to get to a checkpoint. And I almost didn't do it this year because of that. I said, I'm not going to get to the third checkpoint and wait for a day and a half for directions and then have, any advantage you had.
Gone.
That's just not how I do it. Like, I don't care about winning, but if I do anything, man, I want to give it 100%. Like, and if I'm going to be into doing something, when I poured concrete, I wanted to be the best. We poured concrete and we wanted to be the best. We wanted to pour 200 yards of concrete faster and better than anyone else there was. So we practiced, we came up with new ways to do things until we were. And that's the same way I do ride motorcycle. Like I had 60 some thousand miles on a motorcycle this year. 58 of those I was practicing for the Hoka. So you practice. I mean, I had my everything down to how much food I need. So, but then you get to that, and then they change the rules and make it so, you're just level with everybody else. And they say it's not a race, but they sure make it like they're going to turn it into a 2,500-mile race because they're going to make it where everybody's even
Mhm.
at the last checkpoint. When they hand you directions, everybody's even. And now you got 2,500 miles to bomb it to the finish line.
Mhm.
And they say it's not a race, but at the end of the day, they only acknowledge one person out of the 150 that had finished by that party. They acknowledged one, the dude who came in first, and handed him a trophy. So you can put it however you want, but if everybody leaves at the same time, one gets celebrated, he gets a trophy. I would say that, you can say whatever, but it's a little, it, it's a trophy for first. So, guys are going to take that as a race. And it becomes where a lot of people don't do it for the right reasons. There's not the integrity and they're using maps and GPSs. And man, I can't compete with somebody who knows what gas station there is to stop at and, use your phone to know, should I get gas here? Because that's a big part of it. Do you get gas at a half a tank or do you wait and push it and try to
Push
make
it.
a full
Yep.
tank?
Mhm.
And that's a gamble. And some people like me will gamble and some will not. And I get, sometimes you pay for it, you run out of gas, but it's always a gamble. But if you never take that gamble for 10,000 miles, that hey, I can go. The next gas station is 80 miles and my tank says I can do 90, you know. Um, that's what it is, So I can't compete with people that aren't doing it that way. And if they're not going to change their ways of directioning people, then it's just hard. There's always going to be somebody that, uh, is going to have a huge advantage over you, no matter how much you practice. But, they have vapor trails. This is my fourth Hoka. I've made 15 errors in turns, at least 15. If you look at my tracker, which I'll make public, I don't care at all. And you'll see mad crazy turns where I've been way off, and then you look at people who this is their first Hoka. They've never done anything like this with directions, and they have a flawless run. Like you have a flawless run, like, hey man, either you are mad crazy impressive, or you're following a GPS. The one on your bike, the one on your phone, whatever. There's a bunch of people who just flat out admitted they were using a GPS. Oh, I use a GPS. You're not supposed to use those. Everybody does. That's their answer.
Mhm.
Everybody does. So
For
I
sure.
don't know, whatever. But you know, like I laugh it off, but it's still a great event for those that are really trying to, yeah, they're a lot of them. They're trying to, if your goal is to try to do something like this and you want to push yourself, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
a great. I think it's a great event for that. There's people out there. They're still out there on the road right now because they had all kinds of obstacles. We got Hyde out there riding a panhead.
Hmm.
For your non-motorcycle people, that's 1948 pan. There's no suspension on the back, crappy suspension in the front. It has a suicide shifter. I mean, a
No
suicide
windshield.
shifter. Yeah, suicide shifter is shifting with your left hand, where my left hand is on a clutch, my right hand is on a brake, my left foot does all the shifting. In a suicide shifter, it's the opposite. So your foot does the clutch work, but your hand comes off to do the shifting, which means you have one hand on the handlebars and that's busy running the gas. So to do that, it's not called a suicide shifter because it's the luxury that of riders, and I'm 100% in belief that if Hyde crosses that finish line, he's the only one truly deserving of a trophy. Like
Yeah.
that is it. Had I won it, I would turn that down until he tapped out. Because if he made it, that trophy is his. I'd be embarrassed to put my name on a trophy in the same year anybody. Abby wrote a pan as well. She didn't do it this year, but she wrote a pan. anybody that rode a panhead 10,000 miles, I'd be embarrassed to have my name on something above, above
Yeah.
them. So, but
That's good.
it was great. We had a great time. My family came up to the finish line. They were there for me. That part was excellent. The guy I rode in with, Kilroy, I got to know him. I apologized to him because at the beginning of the ride, at the first checkpoint, I kind of got into it with him because his tracker just appeared right before the checkpoint. And I flat out told him, like, there's not many people in the world that'll catch me in twisties. And there was hardcore twisties. And then this guy just was in front of us and it was just a little fishy. And so I got into with him at the checkpoint. And whenever you get into something without knowing the facts, you always turn into look like an asshole. And that's exactly what happened. Like asshole riot comes out, and then I'm wrong, and I gotta chase that dude down for 5 days. I finally catch him at a gas station, and we went back and forth, but we'd never talked, never stopped at the same time. We were leapfrogging each other. I finally got up to him, and I was like, dude, man, I want to apologize. And I said, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I got no shame in my game. If I'm wrong, I'll look you in the eye and I will tell you straight up that I was wrong and I apologize. And that's what I did. I looked him in the eye and I said, I was wrong. I apologize. And, I will publicly say the same. So I'm saying it again. I said it in another interview, that I was wrong. And then that guy really showed his what kind of guy he really was, because at the end I caught up to him and I thought him and Dan were going to be together, and they weren't. The guy that won was out in front of him by 3-4 hours, whatever it was. So I did the math, and unless we did 110 miles an hour, I couldn't catch him by the finish line. So we decided to just chill, and we're going to ride as far as we could together, and we'd figure out how we're going to race it later to the finish line. But we were going, and to be honest, I was just done. I was seeing things again, and I said I did not want to get killed on the last leg. And I pulled over at a turnoff, and I said, I'm done. I'm sleeping right here. And he goes, right here, it's going to be cold and windy right off the water. I said, dude, I'm done, man. I'm seeing shit. I can't judge distance. The corners are killing me. And he says, there's a girl riding with us that met us at a gas station and knew us. I can't remember her name right now, but she rides a BMW, and I was a little out of it. But anyhow, we went up the road 10 miles to a gas station, and I said, I am done, but if you want to roll on, feel free. You can roll on and clearly take second place. And he said, no, man, I'll stay. I'll stay out and ride with you. And he had wanted to ride much closer, like just be right outside of town so we could come in the daylight, but not have so far to ride. So he stayed with me. And at the end, we decided just to ride in side by side. So I thought they can tie us for second. They can give him second. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter at all. Second to a 200th, there's no difference. And we came across the finish line side by side. And so I was celebrating with the family and doing everything. And I don't notice anything, but you have to sign the finish. You have to sign in that you finished. And that's how they determine your order of finish. So they brought the clipboard to Kilroy to sign. He refused to sign it until I signed it. So I had no idea
That's
this was even
pretty
going
awesome.
on. I'm just with my family. We're taking pictures. I'm just enjoying the moment. I got all my kids there. It was special. So, then they brought the clipboard over and I signed it. So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, it's like, you really got to be careful before you judge a book, judge something too soon.
Sometimes that
eat it.
happens.
Yeah, but it was really cool because I didn't even realize that until they brought it over, and then they said you got to sign it, and then we'll have Kilroy sign it. And I said, well, he can sign it. He goes, no, he didn't want to. He wanted you to sign it. And I said, what difference does that make? And they told me, well, you're second place, and he'll be third. And I was like, no, he can be second. Even then he's like, no, man, you go ahead and sign. You take second. So, it was that was 2 times he could have easily taken second place.
And he
One
didn't.
just by letting me sleep and leaving me, and then all he's got to do is watch for me to wake up. When I wake up, he's got to leave a half hour earlier, and no problem. And when we got there, he could have taken it. So that was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then we had the end of the road party. And I was disappointed how the Hockey did it. I've been very vocal about that, and I don't think they're happy with me, but I think they missed an opportunity to recognize. Over the years, they've always recognized the top 20 people to come in. And the top 20 people had some great stories within that group. And I just think they missed a great opportunity to celebrate riders. And they're all worried about, oh, let's keep the riders still on the road in our thoughts, and our prayers. A lot of people on the road. And I agree with that 100%. But there's a lot of riders who gave it their all to be there by that party. And they just kind of blew all those guys off. And I just thought that was, in my opinion, which is strictly that, my opinion, I thought that was shitty. And I thought, you're in a room here. They gave the trophy to the guy that won it. He said 2 sentences, and that was it. And they talked about the rendezvous this summer, and that was it. And it was, yeah. And they thanked the band. They thanked the band for their contribution to the party, which the band was good. Give them that. But they thanked the bar for doing a good job, and the bar had a bartender for 200 people. But anyhow, it was not acknowledging the riders. And I don't want to butcher the names. You can read my post or whatever. But there were 3 riders in particular that I met the night before that had a hell of a story, man. They were Cuban dudes. One was first generation Cuban. The other one I think was second generation from Cuba. I mean, they Americans that live in Miami. So these are dudes who have never ventured to the top of the world like this. They've never been anywhere. And here these 3 Cuban dudes are riding in 33-degree weather to get to that finish line in the top 20.
I heard.
I asked them about their heated gear, and they didn't
They
have
don't
any
have
heated gear.
any.
They don't even sell heated gear there. And I tell you, just bunch of beasts, and that story doesn't get told. And then, they have a girl that makes the top 5. Like, there has never been a girl in the
Yeah.
top 5. I don't know if there's been one in the top 10. I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure about it. But Shell, the rider of Dick, the morning bitches girl, she comes in 5th place.
That's
And I tell you, she could have raced that in and maybe gotten 4th if she had done it different, but she was happy with top 5. So why push it? And I understand when people do that, but that should not be overlooked. And I just thought they just dropped the ball on that. Like, somebody, it is such a grind and so many risks out on the road. Countless people are out of it because of crashes. And now you have 150 people that made it to the finish line and nobody gets talked about. I'm like, they can be mad at me, I guess, because nobody wanted to talk to me after I put that post up. So I was ignored
Oh, wow.
in Homer. But I don't care. Like, I put the post up because I don't care about anything about me. I'm an open book. I don't have anything. Them saying anything in front of the world is not anything I'm not going to say about myself anyway. So I have nothing to talk about me. Like, they're not going to. Sure, I came in 2nd place. Like, okay, great. I don't have a great story to tell. I didn't do anything magical. I did what I'd practiced to do. I didn't do anything other than go through the hurricane, which everybody did. So, but a lot of other riders did. They had great stories to tell, and they just missed it. Shell doing that pothole. It was his 2nd time in the Hockey, his 2nd time in the top 5. It's just that's not beginner's luck. There were people that had a hell of a time in that hurricane, and so whatever. So I hope they get better. I hope they get better at that, because I think they just wasted a bunch of people waited for that party, and
Missed opportunity.
they waited for that party. I got in the 13th. That party's not until the 17th. So you have days to wait. And there were people who came in the next day after me on the 14th, 15th, that were going to head home. They have long ride home, and they wanted to wait for that party because of what they thought it was going to be. And then it's just a sit around, drink beer, have a burger, and see somebody get handed a trophy and told to watch out for the people, pray for the people still on the road. So it was just disappointing is all. But that's how they want to run things. that's on them. I would just do it much different, you know, much different. And, you know, it's just a shame. So I can't really, I don't have, yeah. And I appreciate that. You know, I have been very fortunate. Every okay I've done, I have done well. It is something that fits into my wheelhouse in the rules of how they work. It does not fit into my wheelhouse moving forward, and I knew that. And you know, I told my family I was done after this one, long before this one started. So you know, people think I was a sore loser, and I came in second, and I'm not going to do it again. That was not
No.
the case. You know, I told people in my inner circle that this was my last one, long before I started. Win, lose, try or die. It was going to be my last one, and I'm not angry with the Hoka. So people think I got something to, you know. I think the Hoka is great. I'll still promote it. I still think it's an awesome venue for those that are pushing to make it in 14 days. If it's something you want to try, but if it's somebody who's really good at their craft and you're going to work to improve your craft, it's not going to be for you. You're going to find that out, you know, or you're just going to like the ride until the last one. And, you know, but it's nice to, if you're good enough, you can get a cushion. If something goes wrong mechanically, you have a couple hours to get a tire fixed. You have, you know, some leeway, but now you're just waiting until the last push. And then everybody's going to get their directions at 9 a.m. And then it's just 2,500 miles. Now one thing goes wrong and you lost, you know, or you might have had a 1 day lead. That's crazy to me to think of, you know, and it's not a race, but it is something I try to do my best at, and that's how I roll. So that's that. So that's all I got for the whole K. It was a great event, a great ride. The scenery, the things I saw on the road, the stories I heard from other riders, it's just all awesome. You know, Iceman's hits a coyote. We're riding together, and I don't even remember why we weren't together at the time, but we had been together, and he was behind me, but not that far. I don't know why we weren't together, but whatever reason, you know, he hit a coyote and goes in the ditch and almost saves it, gets high side, gets all banged up, you know, gets out of the hospital, checks himself out, and, you know, decides he wants to continue on. And he ain't continuing on for, you know, there's no trophy for 75th place, 100th place, whatever, 50th, whatever he came in. You know, you don't get a trophy for that. You get your pride and you get your sense of accomplishment that you didn't quit no matter what, you know, and it's the same thing our kids got to deal with all the time, the shit they deal with, and they don't quit. So that's what Iceman's motivation, you know, and he was the same way. So I think that stuff like that happens, and, you know, there's more to it than meets the eye. You know, like I had a lot of mental frustration this time, and a good friend of mine, Cheryl, put a comment in there. She was glad that it happened. You know, it was like it shows the world that you got to just keep fighting through it. Like shit ain't fair. You know, like things aren't fair in life. You know, and that's just the way it is. You know, and I'm looking at a picture of Drew right here. You know, if anybody's got anything to whine about life not being fair, it's our hero. So, you know, they don't. They don't. So if I'm gonna come on and whine about oh life's not fair, and they had a turn that was worded wrong, and I took that turn, I don't want to like I might as well slap my own self, you know. So that's just crazy. So when our boys start whining and about life not being fair, then maybe I'll earn the right to whine and cry a little bit. But until then, I'm just gonna say that sucked, and I wished it wouldn't have happened, and I wish I would have done things different. I would have loved to have been a champion, but it's just not in the cards, and that's just the way it is. So I'll just keep fighting and ride another day. So Cheryl, if you happen to be watching this, I love you and I appreciate your post. I didn't get mad at all. I think it was pretty much spot on. That's how I felt. So it was all good. But that's all I got. I missed Gavin's birthday because I was on the road. So
On the road.
I had to send him a video, and that was it. I'm gonna make it up to him when I get back into the lower 48. I'm gonna try to get down and see him for his birthday, whatever. But that's all I got. That was a lot of babbling about that, but I'll let you
That's
pound
pretty
through
cool.
your stuff. But that was a fill in for the Hoka. And next week I'll have a list of all of our riders and how everybody did, and we'll just tell a story about each and every one, or maybe get a
That'd
couple
be
on,
cool.
and
That'd be cool.
that'll be the end of it. But it's all good. So I don't know anything else that's going on. That'll be the last I can even talk about anything. So I'll just listen to you and be in awe of your worldly newsness.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I will start with a little bit of monster news. Loco is on day 232. He is so next Thursday, the 29th, is Ride with Loco. So if you can get out on the 29th and ride anything that ends in 29, that'd be great. Frankie's birthday, Frankie Mountains, is on the 22nd. So I'll be sure and wish Frankie happy birthday. Of course, Gavin's was yesterday, Big 10. And
Double digits.
Double digits, yes. Monsters Over the Mountains 3.0 starts on the 24th. So anybody in that, if your questions on that, get a hold of D Woods. So last week was Honor Week. Looked like a lot of people got out and did some riding with Honor. And speaking of that, we had the weekly scoot last week was Bridges. We had a total of 190 bridges found. Third place was Chris Abbott with 11. Second place was Renee Abbott with 34. And first place was our Honor with 132. Way to go, Honor. Girls were kicking ass this week.
I wish I would have been home. Like, I wish that was a week I was home, because where I'm at, there are a ton of bridges. Like, New Jersey and New York has a ton. I think there's like 800 bridges in the New York metropolitan area, in the boroughs. Like, you could just go for a ride. It's like cross bridges nonstop. So of course the bridges are there, and I'm not around, but so what?
That's funny. So total items submitted so far in this 22 weeks is 10,214. And also the weekly prizes are being shipped, and Mandy said it can take a bit of time, so please be patient to get your prizes.
I saw people posting it for the first time, though.
Yeah.
So I thought they were cool. I wanted to win one just because I want one of those mugs.
I know. That was pretty awesome. This week is Irish pubs in honor of Jack and Alfie. So get out and find your Irish pubs. So that one's going to be a little tough for certain places, I think. That's going to be interesting. I'm kind of curious. I can't think of one around here, but I'm sure they're out there.
I'm in Alaska, and I'm going to be heading through the Yukon. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to find an Irish pub anywhere. If I do, I might get one in.
Probably not. Yeah. Speaking of Jack and Alfie, and in hero news, they're really looking forward to coming to Florida on Thursday. So they're heading out. So they'll be here Thursday. And they have 2 days of treatments. And then it sounds like they're going to Disneyland and Universal Studios. So they're really excited about that.
Fun.
Exactly. So in news with Drew, Drew's been watching the Hoka Hay tracker and seeing everyone finish. So he's been glued to that. And Greg Hunt is hoping to swing by tomorrow to visit him if he can make it. So Drew's looking forward to that. In other news, Steve said he's been in insurance hell, dealing with 3 different companies. So, I guess they can't get Steve's words are they can't get their shit together. So last minute he got his heart meds approved. This is just ridiculous. This is medicine that he has to have. Heart medicine, steroids, and Steve is just I guess it's just ridiculous. He's got the steroid medicine. He has to go through the entire approval process again. So he said it's just another week for them, but I just think that's just bull.
It is. It's disgusting.
I don't know.
I think it's crazy that they have to do that for meds for a disease like that. That's just nuts.
It's stuff they have to have that. So it's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of upset me a little bit when I heard that from him. So yeah, so that was Drew's news. Gavin is in school. So far, so good. Birthday went well. Saturday, they had smash burgers and pasta salad. Sunday, he had run of the house. He had donuts. He built Legos. He played Fortnite. And they had Phillies and strawberry lemonade. And guess who still doesn't have their braces? for their legs. Yeah. So that's not going real well, I guess, for them. They've been fighting that. But on the 28th, he goes to test drive some power chairs. So that'll be kind of cool. So he gets test new power chairs. The birthday party is planned for the 28th of September. So there, but
Perfect.
yeah. So just so you know that.
I'm gonna try to be down in Texas for that if possible.
Okay. Perfect. Friday, he had some kids ask him at school why he had a scooter. And before he could say anything, and they asked why he needed a scooter. Before he could say anything, another kid said, well, obviously he's disabled. That's why. And I guess that really bothered Gavin. Jessica said he kept it together and, kept things together, but he was pretty upset. So that sucked.
He's not disabled. He's different abled.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he didn't get to explain himself. Some other kid, just whatever. But that's his kids for you. So just more shit they deal with.
yeah, kids can be brutal, and kids can be brutal even when they're not meaning to.
Yeah, they might not have meant it.
Yeah, like just I can be brutal sometimes because I'm not as nice as I should be sometimes. When I say things, when somebody asks me a question, if they ask me, I just answer sometimes. I was like, I probably could have worded that a little nicer.
That might not have came out right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I just give the honest answer, and I'm like, well, maybe honesty's not always the best. So
Sometimes, yeah.
yeah, so I get it.
Yeah. In Turbo news, Turbo is good, but had a busy weekend full of cars and watching the Hokahay, the car show he watched with, or he went to with Fam and Robert. So sounds like that went pretty good. So
I did see some pictures of that. Look cool.
it did. Yeah, their car shows are way different than our car shows here. So
Yeah,
I'd
they
like
got
to
some.
go to one. They have exotic cars. So yeah. That's all I have for news.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I was looking at my motorcycle here. It does not look like it's a new
I
motorcycle.
saw it. It
Um,
looked pretty bad.
it's pretty trash. But one thing that years ago I got laughed at for having was an umbrella, and I sure was happy I had it this time because there were trees in the road during a hurricane, and the wind was blowing so hard. I took my umbrella and put it to the side just so I could sit and not get pelted by rain for the 45 minutes I had to wait for them to clear the road. So it was pretty funny, but years ago I started carrying an umbrella and everybody laughed at me for having an umbrella on my motorcycle. And I've always said, like that's the number one thing I make sure to have. And this year, I bet you I saw 25 to 50 people with umbrellas on their
You
motorcycles. So
started a trend.
yeah, I was like, and they're sitting out in the desert in a traffic jam, whatever. I got it out, and everybody laughed at me. When I was construction, where I had to wait to go, and sitting in the shade, and people like taking pictures of me a lot. So it was kind of funny. But the
That's
bike looks
awesome.
pretty destroyed, but other than that, it's all good. But I want to thank everybody for watching us during the Hokahay. I got a text just now from a friend of mine, Coach in Canada, who was watching. I meant to get back to him earlier. So, Coach, thanks for cheering me on, man. I appreciate you, and I really appreciate everybody that sent text, not only to me but to all of the Monster riders. We had over 30 riders in it, and the text we've been getting and motivation when you're riding is really picks you up and gets you to that next step. And thinking about our kids and raising money for them and what this money is going to help with these treatments coming to Florida. Drew going to Florida and getting treatments, getting Gavin a van. It's like all of that is worth it, and all the bullshit you go through riding through a hurricane is like those things are difficult, but they're manageable. We're gonna get through it, and we can do it. And at the end of the day, it's really pans out for the boys. And so to everybody watching, man, I can't thank you enough for all the support and cheering me on. And if you were disappointed that I didn't win, sorry I let you down.
You
But
didn't let anybody down.
I just gonna give it. I go 100%, and that's all I can do. If my 100% isn't good enough, then high five to those that have a little better. But it's all good, but I do want to thank everybody. Thank you guys, you and Dylan for doing the show last week. I didn't even know what day it was, let alone what time, man. I thank you guys a lot. Next week I might be coming through Canada about the same time, so I don't know if I'll be on a Monday or not, but
I
uh,
just love
I'll
it.
do I'll do my best to stop and hopefully get somewhere and be good, man. And coach has sent me another text, so I'm gonna try to get up there and see him in my travels. He's in near Toronto, so I miss that guy. So it's pretty awesome. But I love hearing from people. There's a lot of people I heard from on this ride I don't hear from a lot, so they take the time out of their day to send me a text, and some of them I didn't get right away, and it's just fun to see names pop up on my screen that are near and dear to me. That just everybody has those friends that mean a lot to you. Just don't talk to them a lot, or you kind of drift apart and hit or miss, whatever. But everybody has those people in their life. And then when you get a text when you're in the middle of something, and a lot of them came in just shitty times of day where it's like head down and pouring rain on me. I was in a laundromat drying my clothes, and it was just hell. I'm sitting in my underwear in a laundromat in Georgia, and I'm like, I gotta dry everything. So I took my underwear off. I'm standing in a laundromat naked. Of course, a lady walks in to do her laundry, and I'm standing on the other side of these dryers, and she says she's talking to me, and there's no idea I have nothing on. I'm just standing there, and she just thinks I don't have a shirt on, and I had to get to the other side to get my bag, get a pair of shorts out. But I'm like, in my mind, I need everything dry, including what I have on. So I just took everything off, and everything went in the dryer. But those are the times you get that, and like Craig sends me a text at the right time, where it's, like I said, I don't give a shit about a speeding ticket, but I do give a shit about the way I was riding through a herd of elk and corners. And, it's like your brain is just not right sometimes. And it got to take a reset and be like, like sometimes it takes that text to be like, hey, don't get yourself disqualified. And I was like, I'd get disqualified. Like I was like not sure about to get disqualified wasn't my top concern, but getting whacked should have been,
Pretty
and
low, pretty high up there.
so
Okay.
yeah. So, and I know I inched towards 100 a couple times. So I thought I was going to get booted in Montana once. And I thought after those elk, I might have got booted, but I didn't. So if you do 100, they kick you out right on the spot. So I know I was at 99.9 miles per hour at least twice that I know of, because I have a rever on my bike that records my speed, and I knew I didn't have a choice at one of them. I had to get around semi when somebody pulled out, so I was just like, had to go. But I think Amy said that she didn't know I was naked, but I wasn't bragging about that story. Standing there naked, but I got a pair of shorts on pretty quick, so it wasn't too bad. I was more worried about the camera they had on the other side than I was about somebody walking in. It was the middle of the day in Georgia. I'm like, who's coming to a laundromat at 1 in the afternoon during a hurricane? So turns out there's one person there that does do their one load of laundry right then. But she was fine. That's all good. But that's all I got. Thanks for getting everything set up and getting us reconnected back to Facebook and YouTube and all the stuff that has disconnected since last week for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all good now, though. I do
Yeah,
have one picture I forgot to put up. If you got a second, I just want to
I
quick
do.
show this picture. This is Alfie with his outfit for school. He's
That's awesome.
the one fine dressing dude. So I thought we better quick show that picture.
Yeah, he should be a ZZ Top fan because he's a sharp dressed man right there.
Is, yes. So they
That,
sent us that picture. I don't think it's on Facebook yet. Maybe you'll see it on Facebook, but I'm not sure. But wanted everybody to see that. So I forgot. I was gonna have Dylan put it up when I was talking about him, but we forgot. So
oh, that's awesome. It's a great picture. Your
but
rating
that's
is
all
still
I
plenty
have.
high. Well, perfect. To all the monster riders that are still out there on the road, be safe.
Yes,
Get
be
into
safe.
that finish line. Arrive alive. That's the only rule you need to have. That's it. Arrive alive. Everything else is second. Nobody remembers anything from any of these years from one to the next anyway. So, arrive alive. That's it. So be careful out there. To all the riders that did fight to get in and are heading home right now, congratulations. We'll get a wrap on it. Jared Brown did crash. He's in the hospital. I do know that. I mailed all his gear home to him, so keep him in your prayers. he got pretty banged up. He was in the hospital in Anchorage. I'm going to get little details about that tonight and see if how he's doing. But he was banged up pretty good and had some blood clot issues they're worried about, and was very lucky because somebody was right behind him when he crashed, and they saw him crash, so they could look around to find him. And he was hard to find even when they saw him crash. So that's the kind of terrifying shit you deal with up here in the middle of nowhere. Like, he was lucky somebody was there, because if they weren't there, you know, and you crash, you could lay in the ditch all night long. Nobody knows you're there. Nothing's working. You know, you're in trouble. So keep Jared in your prayers. That's Ronimo's brother. So you'd hardly even know they're brothers, even though they look identical. When one walks up, you can't tell the difference. But Jared went down, but I think he's going to be all right. But keep him in your thoughts. And Raindrop was another one that went down on some gravel, and she got all banged up, and she made it home, but that ain't an easy trip. So Raindrop, I'm really sorry that happened, and you know, we're thinking about you, because that's a tough one to bounce around like that. And you know, I really felt bad. She had a heart set on making it to Alaska, and then gravel road in Montana, wherever that was, and you know, endos it and wrecks her bike and gets all banged up and broken bones and things like that. It's a tough one. So, you know, those people that went through that and got some injuries, some wrecked bikes, you know, I feel for you, because that's such an emotional roller coaster of pain and suffering and agony of defeat, all rolled up into one. It's not like a motorcycle accident that happens at home where you just got to worry about healing. That the mental side of it can be just as brutal. So we're thinking about all you crazy monsters that, you know, are doing it. So we appreciate you all.
We do.
That's all I got.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Misty.
Yeah.
Thanks,
you.
Dylan. I like that I yell, thanks, Dylan, like he's in the other room, and I want to make sure he hears, like, your speaker's only putting it at a certain level. So Dylan, thumbs up. Everybody, thank you. We'll try to do some more videos. I'm gonna take my time going home. I'm gonna throw some videos up.
Do
There's
that.
some things I want to see on the way home that I did not take the time to see. So I'm gonna try to do some better YouTube videos and be a little more active. So that'll be my trip home. So I might post my tracker so people can watch me go home and be all good. I took the Hokey one off, but I got my own. So we're all good.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Peace.
See ya.